Your thoughts became focused on lack. Your emotions reflected scarcity. And here's the devastating truth modern neuroscience has now confirmed. Your brain literally cannot perceive opportunities that don't match your dominant frequency. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics shows that your cells respond not to reality, but to your perception of reality. The HeartMath Institute has proven that your heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than your brain, and that field is literally shaped by your emotional state. Studies in reticular activation demonstrate that your brain filters out 99% of sensory input, showing you only what matches your existing beliefs and expectations. In other words, when you're tuned to scarcity, you literally cannot see abundance even when it's right in front of you. Not because it isn't there, but because your receiver is tuned to the wrong station, and this is why trying harder doesn't work, why positive affirmations often fail, why vision boards sit on your wall while your life stays the same, because you're trying to change the picture when the problem is the frequency. You're trying to manually create abundance when what you actually need to do is remove the interference blocking the abundance that's already broadcasting. There are 3 primary interference patterns that block your natural abundance frequency: inherited scarcity programming from your lineage, traumatic imprints from moments of lack in your past, and the collective frequency of a culture addicted to not enoughness. But here's what gives me hope. Interference can be cleared, frequencies can be retuned, and the abundance signal never actually stopped broadcasting. It's been waiting, patient and constant, for you to remember how to listen. And maybe that's why you're here right now. Not by accident, not by algorithm, but by resonance. Because on some level, conscious or unconscious, a part of you recognized the frequency of these words. Something in you knows that the struggle isn't noble, knows that the hustle isn't mandatory, knows that there's another way to move through the world where resources flow toward you not because you're desperate but because you're aligned. This isn't wishful thinking, this is frequency recognition. Your soul remembering its original broadcast signal. And when that memory begins to activate, the changes start immediately. First, they're subtle. You notice different things. A parking space appears, a stranger offers exactly what you needed. An idea arrives that solves the problem you've been wrestling with for months. You might dismiss these as coincidences, but they're not. They're the first evidence that your frequency is shifting, that the interference is clearing, that the abundance signal is starting to come through. Then the changes deepen. Your relationship with time transforms. Urgency dissolves into presence. Anxiety about the future softens into trust in this moment. Your body relaxes in ways it hasn't since childhood. And people notice. They ask what's different about you. They feel calmer in your presence. Opportunities that used to require force now arrive through synchronicity. Not because you've learned some magical technique, but because your broadcast frequency has changed and the universe responds to frequency, always without exception. This is the point where many people panic, because if this is true, if abundance really is a frequency you can tune into, then everything you've been taught about how life works is wrong. The sacrifice is unnecessary, the suffering is optional, the struggle is a choice, and that realization, as liberating as it sounds, can feel terrifying, because it means you have more power than you've been claiming, more responsibility than you've been taking, and a simple choice available in every single moment. Stay tuned to scarcity or return to abundance. But once you see it, truly see it, you can't unsee it. The veil doesn't close again, and that's exactly where the real journey begins. Because we're about to go deeper. We're going to explore not just what the abundance frequency is, but where it comes from, why it was hidden, and how the ancients encoded this exact knowledge into practices that modern science is only now beginning to validate. We're going to trace the thread through history,